Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come to our webinar today on claims. We're going to tell you a little bit about the past. We're going to give you some tips to get through the present, and we're going to tell you some really fabulous information on what the future has for you in claims processing. I'm Janice Salmon, the current founder of Just Press One and the original owner of KPI, today known as Service Power. I would also like to thank the United Servicers Association for having us today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Buswell. I am President and CEO of Just Press One International, located over here in the Philippines. We're really excited to have everybody a part of our webinar today. We're excited to talk about what's going on and what Just Press One is doing to change the claims industry, make it more friendly, more efficient, and really better for everybody all around.
A quick housekeeping item before we get started. We are recording this as a webinar and not as a Q&A, but we know there are lots of questions about claims processing. So what we'd like you to do is either use the chat box and ask us your questions or write down our email addresses. There's mine and Ryan's. And at any time, send us an email with your questions about any kind of claims. We want to be your go-to people. We know that we can find the answer. So put the ball in our court. I assume that many servicers have the same questions. So what we'd like to do is come back in a couple of weeks with the answers to your questions and hold the same type of webinar, going over the things that you want to know.
So, what is on our agenda for today? Well, first and foremost, Janice is going to go a little bit through the history of the claims processing and the former history of Key Prestige. We'll talk about why there's so many edits in the claims processing industry. Janice and I are then going to talk about some tips that each one of you can use to have a better experience with your day-to-day claims processing, things that you guys can bring to your teams to try to help them get a better result with their claims processing. And then last, we're going to talk about the innovations that Just Press One is bringing to the industry and how we're going to make a new future of claims processing that's going to be efficient, clean, and the future that all of us are going to look forward to.
It all began in 1983. I owned a data entry service bureau, and that's exactly what it looked like. We were in a basement. Everybody had these little machines. I think one of those ladies in that picture is actually me. But in the old days, if you wanted information put into a computer, you would send your forms out to a data entry service bureau and they would key the information and then put it on these big magnetic tapes. And that's how you got them into your computers. As the owner of this service bureau here in California, my job was to find work for my operators. So I got a lead from my father, actually, that there were boxes and boxes of forms in the accounts payable department at Sanyo Electric right here in Compton. And someone needed to enter that information into the computer so that they could pay their servicers. I met with the national service manager of Sanyo, and he was so excited to meet me. He was like, I could get caught up. I mean, I'm behind 4 months in paying servicers. So I brought all these boxes back to my company, and we started typing in the information from these forms and found so many duplicates. Of course, you can imagine you don't get paid in 30 days, you're going to send another copy, right? So here were duplicates on top of duplicates, and this is what started the edit process. We started eliminating duplicates, then we started checking for model numbers, then we started checking for the length of a serial number, and all of a sudden the edit process began. Lucky for me, good news travels fast, and Sanyo Electric started telling all of the consumer electronic companies about KPI. By the end of the 1990s, we were entering and editing NARDA forms for most of the consumer electronic companies. Based in California was Hitachi, Sanyo, Yamaha, Proton, Iowa, JVC, Thomson, Alpine, and many more. So where's the benefit to you, the service provider? Well, if you were back in business in the 80s or 90s, you could remember taking these 4 or 5 part forms and sorting them by manufacturer, sorting them by brand, putting them in envelopes, and sending them out to all the different manufacturers. Our vision was to see one envelope per servicer put in the mailbox and sent to us, and we would do all the sorting and separating, keying and filing for you. One portal, one single point of contact, saving you time and money. But it didn't quite work out the way I had envisioned it. If you look now, 40 years later, we don't have just one point of contact for filing claims. We have way too many. And with each one of these portals, you have a learning curve. Granted, we're sending the same information to every portal, but they use different tools, different ways of entering the data. And so if you're just working for one manufacturer, like Whirlpool for instance, you're safe. You use the Service Bench portal and your learning curve is short. But let's say you're doing home warranty or many manufacturers. You've got to know all of these portals, probably have more than one person entering the data so that you can ultimately get paid. Whether you're filing your claims in one portal only like Service Bench or you're using all 7 or 8 portals, you're still putting in the same information. It's still the NARDA form back in 1983. It's the customer information, the address, the phone number. It's the product information, brand, model, serial number, data purchase. It's the repair information. What did you do? What was wrong with the product in the first place? And what did you do to fix it? Did you use parts? What parts did you use? It's all the same information that it was in the accounts payable department at Sanyo. In the end, all that matters is getting this information into the portal correctly and getting paid for what you do. The purpose of claims processing is to get paid from manufacturers and extended service contract companies for the work you do repairing their product. So I went and asked a few of them, what are some of the tips you would give servicers to avoid rejections? The following are the top 4 tips to getting your claims paid. Remember, claims fall into 3 specific categories. Incomplete claims, those are ones you can fix yourself. You just type the model number wrong or maybe a zip code or a part number wrong. Rejected claims, those are ones that you cannot fix on your own and you need to handle that directly with the portal provider. Or manufacturer review claims. That means your claim has been put in an audit and could sit there for months at a time until the auditor has reviewed the process. Our goal is to avoid the rejected claim. So let's give you some tips that might just do that for you. Tip number 1, the value of the proof of purchase. Have your technician take a copy of the customer's sales receipt. Honestly, as long as you have that kind of proof, you could avoid purchase date changed, out of warranty, invalid serial number, invalid purchase date. Just Press One files claims for servicers in every single portal, and I cannot tell you how many times we see an error message related to that proof of purchase. If we had just had a copy of it, just a little snapshot of the proof of purchase, we could avoid the errors altogether. Tip number 2, keep it simple. Don't add any more information than you need. I know this can be time consuming because if you're uploading a NARDA form from your software, everything that the technician writes in the repair description goes into the portal. But why send complaint of bulb going out, light housing has gone bad, replace bad socket with W102-10871 and use the customer supplied bulb. Tested operations all checked out clear. When you could have just written replaced socket, job complete. Avoid your claim going into audit for too much information. Tip number 3, always check claim status. I know this is really time consuming, and if you don't want to do it, then hire us to do it. But if you just leave your claims there and don't check on them but maybe the end of the month, by then the claim could be in a too old to correct status. For example, what we do here at Just Press One is every day before we start processing the new claims, we pull statuses from the previous day and correct the incompletes, correct the rejected claims, get things filed properly before we start that day's claims. And if daily is too much for you, then pick Wednesdays and Fridays, or at least one day a week. Don't let these claims get into a status where you have to fight for your money. Tip number 4. Stay on top of the manufacturer review claims. Claims are sent into this status for a variety of reasons. Let me give you some examples. If the claim is for labor only, it might have to be fault coded so that the factory knows why you didn't use parts. Validating the service performed. They're going to read that data that we told you to be simple on and make sure that it is a warranty issue and should it be covered under warranty. How about part only claims? Just like labor only claims, why is there parts only? Like, where was the labor paid and why are you submitting it for parts? And sometimes they're put in manufacturer review just at a random selection. Every 5th claim you file, every 3rd claim you file, every 10th claim you file. This is ways to pick out claims that an audit team gets to look at. And while they're looking at these claims, they're put in a manufacturer review status. So stay on top of them. Make sure they get processed one way or the other. And if they do get rejected, make sure you understand the reason why.
Awesome. So now that we've talked about a few things that each of you can do to improve your own experience with claims processing, let's talk about Just Press One and what our plan is for the future. With over 50 years of experience just between Janice and myself, we knew we had to do something that was going to be a turning point for the entire industry. Let's start with our vision. The vision we had clear. We wanted to create the single most efficient claims processing platform that has ever been developed for the in-home service industry. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, we started by looking at what all the service companies in the industry were doing on a daily basis, which we knew were rifled with pain points, and our major goal was to do the inverse. We saw 4 major issues. First is that most servicers, they're limited to their working hours. Now, this is usually between 8 and 5 their local time, so that limits them, if they work a little bit of overtime, to about an 8 or 10 hour day. Second, they'd be lucky if they have more than one person who is trained on doing claims in their office. And if someone's absent, then they have nobody in that office doing claims that day. Or if somebody's on holiday, they're on vacation leave, they might be gone for several days at a time, those claims are going to get backed up. The third thing that we saw was that if you had one person or several people all doing claims for all of the service portals, then that person has to understand the idiosyncrasies of every portal. They need to know what that portal wants, the fault codes, the kind of information that goes into each portal. They have to understand what that portal is looking for, make sure that they put the right information in there. So they have to remember a lot of different aspects of all the different portals. And by far the most important thing is that far too often the people that are filing these claims forget to check the ones that are in review status. And they sit there for so long that they become too old to file. They become valueless. So you're basically throwing money out the window. So how did we do the inverse of those 4 things? Well, we work while you guys are sleeping. Our team comes in around 5 p.m. local time, usually on the East Coast, and we work until 8 a.m. So we've extended our hours. Instead of only working 8 or, if we're lucky, 10 hours a day. Now you have a claims team who's working the better part of 18 hours a day. Secondly, instead of having one person who does multiple different portals, we've created an entire team who specialize in one portal and one portal only. This way, one person doesn't have to understand all of the aspects of every single portal out there, like GSPN, and Service Bench. They're so different. It's hard to remember what one requires and what another one does. So in order to take advantage of this, we just have a whole team that only does GSPN. So they're experts in that portal. They don't care what Service Power or Service Bench rules are because they only ever do the GSPN tickets. And the same goes for all the other portals. We have a whole team who specialize in only their specific portal. And then they become experts in their portal. So they're not worried about anything else. But most importantly is that we have an entire team that checks every single day the audit and review pending claims. So those claims that are subjected to manufacturer review, they never get forgotten about. They're always being looked at every single day. From the day it gets put into that manufacturer review status until we get it completed and sent back to you successful, we check it daily. So if it needs, a part to be added to the ticket, we get that part added. If it needs a new explanation or new tech status, we get that from the technician or from the service center, and then we update that. So our goal is to always have those manufacturer review status claims checked every single day. So that way, as soon as we can get you paid for that, it gets paid. No more losing money on forgotten claims. So how does this all work? Well, we'll go over this in a simplified explanation, but at the end of the day, each one of our clients, before they leave for the afternoon, they upload an Excel document of all of the claims that need to be filed from the day's work. Now, these claims are imported into our system with servicers all across the country, North America, and Europe. They go into a bucket all together, and our engineering team has actually built this incredible machine that takes everyone's claims and then sorts them by their constituent parts. So it breaks them down into their unique portals, keeping, special identifiers so we know how to put them back together and reassemble them at the end of the day. And this machine breaks these lists down and then hands them out to each one of those teams that I just talked about. So that way, each team only gets the portal that they're familiar with, but they get them for every servicer. All the servicers that upload to our machine go to that specific portal. So it might be someone in North America, someone in Europe, it might be someone in Canada. It doesn't really matter because all of these claims are exactly the same. It's just the portal that's different. So now that each team has their respective claims to process, they will work on those claims. Now, they're going to have a huge list of claims from servicers all across the world. They're going to work on those lists, and then once it's done, it's completed. Our system requires that every agent feed back into the machine some aspects of that claim. That way, not only can we QA those claims in kind of a spot checking system to validate that they're doing it right, but also as a verification process to make sure that the claims are being done accurately. And this way, we can also tag claims that get subject to manufacturer review or audit. So those claims that are sent out for manufacturer review will get pushed over to a special department. And that department, it completely focuses on those manufacturer review claims. So just like each portal has their own team that's working on just those claims and those claims only, well, we have a auditor team that they're experts. They know everything, they know all the portals, so they're like that one special person, but their sole job is to reach out to each individual servicer and get the information that they might need. So you're probably asking yourself, okay, I understand how it works, but how does it directly benefit me as a service center? Well, we guarantee an 80% acceptance rate or successful enter rate on the first day. And that's easy, right? Because most of those claims that are getting filed in there. They're easy to process. It's just a matter of having someone doing it in a timely manner. Those are the easy ones, right? And so every day, you're going to come in, and 80% of your claims, they're going to be paid. They're going to be completed. And you're going to get that report back, and it's going to be great. But it's that remaining 20% of rejected claims that we keep on top of. Now, that's the bread and butter, right? And so our goal at the end of the life cycle of these claims is that we want to have an over 99% completion rate. Now, of course, there's always those one-off claims that you just can't file. Maybe the technician went out and did an instruction on how to use an appliance, or walked a customer through some stuff, but they didn't really do anything, and that's going to violate the terms of what's covered under a warranty or an extended service contract. So there's always the onesie twosies that there's just nothing that you can do about it. But 99% of all claims that we get you paid on. We never forget about them. They don't get lost in the ether. 80% of them are done. Boom, on day one. And that's, it's always nice to have those taken care of for you. And that last 19 or 20% of claims, we really focus our efforts on those. We reach out to our clients on a regular basis. We really do feel confident and guarantee that we're going to get those claims taken care of and paid to you before you lose even 1 cent of value in that claim. And with that 99% completion rate, our goal is to make you feel like it's raining money. You left work the day before with a list of claims that you sent to us. And when you come in the morning, those claims are completed and paid out. So no extra work on your part. All you have to do is reap the rewards of having those claims completed, knowing that all of them are done, paid, and you get to focus on the aspects of your business which are important to you, which is running them and making sure that everything runs smoothly. And that completes our webinar for the day. Thank you guys so much for attending. We appreciate all of those who showed up and listened to our webinar. Again, if you guys have any questions, please email Janice or myself. We'd like to have another webinar here in a few weeks with the questions and answers. So shoot us your questions. We'll get those answers. We'll let you know when our next webinar is. And again, thank you so much for joining. Have a great day, everybody.